Talked about forced starvation. I just want to, and also talking particularly about aid not getting in. Israel does say that there is no limit to the amount of aid that could be brought in. It's saying that there's more so a question of, well, whether it's Egypt or whether it's Hamas saying that there's no way to, it's not getting to the right people. What did you see at the border as you were entering into Rafah?
We saw the kilometers stretch of trucks that are just waiting in line, waiting for their turn to enter. And I know one of the organizations called Humanity Auxilium that has sent in supplies through these trucks, and the discriminatory ways in which they also get treated by policies that don't that change by the hour, that change by the day around what is let in versus what is not. An example is if something is found like a bottle of water in a truck that is they're not accepting bottles of water that day, the entire truck gets turned back and they have to go to the back of the line to wait many weeks to reach the front of the line to even be considered to enter. And we know that so many of these trucks are not being let in. And what really needs to enter is all of those trucks, unrestricted, to be able to provide the food, water, fuel, and so many medications and supplies that people need. But because these trucks are not being let in, what we can only do right now is to bring in medications and supplies and, through suitcases that doctors are bringing in through the emergency medical teams that are able to enter through the coordination of the WHO.
Dr. G, you, back in the early months, it's hard to say that now, but the early months of the war, you were suspended by the University of Ottawa, where you were working in residency. For some of your social media posts, it seems supporters described them as pro-Palestinian and critical of Israel, but others claimed that they were anti-Semitic. But in the end, the university reinstated you and said they were thrilled to have you return, but you ultimately didn't. I guess, why not? And what do you say to those critics?
I try not to spend as much of my time and energy on institutions such as the University of Ottawa's Faculty of Medicine that not only choose to not acknowledge what is happening in Gaza, that is, a genocide and targeted killings of healthcare workers, my colleagues and our colleagues in healthcare and medicine. To not call that out, I think, is first and foremost appalling. Because of the blatant double standards that we saw with how faculties of medicine and medical institutions like the Canadian Medical Association would stand with Ukraine when healthcare workers and civilian life was being attacked by the Russian Federation. But what I'm seeing at the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Ottawa is actually blatant perpetuation of anti-Palestinian racism. So it's not even just complicit and complacent silence. It's actually the perpetuation of anti-Palestinian racism to dissuade any speech related to Palestine. I had colleagues just this week tell me that their direct supervisors told them to not post about Gaza whatsoever and to not call it a genocide.